Oh, I won't be able to see it.
Oh, you won't be able to. That's all right. I'll read anything that comes.
Yeah, but let me check.
Converted man here, and I've got Saint Rawman. Oh my God, it's Saint Rawman. Nom 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 nom. How's it going?
How's it going?
Yeah, I don't know. Something. You've been like, I don't know where you've been. Where the bleep have you been?
Where have I been? Where haven't I been? I've been in every single one of the lower 48 in the last 4 years.
Why weren't you making videos?
Because I work 7 days a week, anywhere from 10 to 14 hours a day, driving a truck.
It's always about you. What about us? We demand content.
Well, that's a whole different story. I mean, I use the truck as an excuse more than anything because I've sat down and tried to write scripts. I even got a partner now who wants to make videos. She's got her own character that we've cleverly named and everything else, and I've got it created using the same software I used for the Saint Rawman character. But every time I sit down to try to find something to respond to, whether it's religion or sociology or anything like that, it's like I just get burnt. I just halfway through scripting something, I'm like, I really don't want to do this.
Yeah, you have to want to do it. I mean, it has to be fun. Otherwise, what's the point? I mean, I know that there's people that make, YouTube their thing, their living, and it's like, when it stops being fun, though, I'd be like, no, I'm done. It's just like, I don't know. But that's just me. I don't know. So, where did you leave off with us? The great atheist, skeptical, quote, community, quote, not enough quotes.
Where did I leave off?
Yeah, like what was the last thing you saw that was going on? Or
I kind of bailed out when everyone started focusing more on feminism and the social justice than they did religion, except for Locke, of course. He kind of touched it a tiny bit and went right back to Islam and Christianity. But most people started talking about, and I touched on it a little bit, mainly because I was irritated with Steve Shives.
Everybody was. That was back in the day, man. Yeah. That's when we all agreed that on. It seemed like the thing is, by the time I got around to caring about any of that, it was like the bus had moved and I was way late for it, and then nobody cared about the whole landscape had changed, and I didn't know because I don't know. I don't pay attention to what's going on. And it was like, oh, now everybody's on the other side. Oh, great. I missed the bus. I could have been on the bus with the cool kids. I waited too long.
Yeah, I mean, I touched on it in one of my first videos, talking about Atheism Plus.
Oh, yeah.
And then I don't want to say I was one of the first, but I was one of the first people to actually make a full response video to something Steve Shives has said, as far as from the people I watched.
Yeah.
Like Sargon of Akkad, he posted a response video to the same exact one like 2 days later. So I know he was at least working on it when I was, and maybe even started before I did.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching Steve and enjoying a lot of his content, and then all of a sudden this weird shift happened where he started saying all these things that just didn't make a lot of sense. Exactly. And I was just on Facebook, and I asked him about a Teldar video, and so I put the entire thing up on YouTube of everything that I was saying and doing or whatever, and that one got a bunch of views because I think in part because Teldar mentioned it on his channel, but yeah, I mean that stuff was big, and now we had this kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, drama or whatever, I don't know, but this kind of a split that happened in a sense where somebody said a thing that then other people were calling them names about, and it just was madness, and there wasn't any logic or reason, and people were up in arms. I'm like, look, man, let people have a mistake. My God, let people say things that might be a little bit wrong. Sure, correct them, but you don't have to go insane. Come on, you know.
Yeah.
And it was just, I don't know, madness. And I was just like, yeah, well, I told all of you that this was going to be a problem, and you didn't listen to me. And so that's because I'm highly narcotic. So not narcotic, narcissistic. There you go. That's the word. Anyways, so,
Yeah, I got a little bit of negative.
See,
I got a little. Go ahead.
Fun's blown over now. So.
Yeah, I got a little bit of negative feedback from my original Steve Shives video because I think I have two of them. Yeah, one I made shortly before going off to truck driving school, and then the early one that was about middle of my active time.
Yeah.
But that first one, I got a little bit of negative feedback. People more or less concerned about going after the same team, the same side. And I'm like, I'm really not on anyone's side.
I'm on the side of logic. I mean, that's really it for me. I've always done that.
Yeah, and as far as I'm concerned, anyone who says they're a skeptic or an atheist with a skeptical mind needs to be held to a higher standard than your average person, because they're making a claim and then they go and say something like he did in that, was it 5 Stupid Things About Rape Culture video?
That and the men's rights movement and all the other things. Yeah, I mean,
that's the one I responded
multiple
to.
Things. Yeah.
And he said so many stupid things in that. I'm like, I can't let that pass, because then I'm just a hypocrite and I'm showing bias.
And my thing was always like, when people pointed out whatever I did or said that was wrong, if I couldn't fix it in a video, I'd correct it in the comments, if nothing else, and say, you're right. You know, and I would rethink things, and sometimes I would pull videos down and put a new video up because I was just so dissatisfied with how I had presented whatever. And, you know, I remember people being like, oh, you're reasonable. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But, you know, I guess people, you know, stopped liking me at some point. I don't know. And then I got unpopular, and now I'm dead. Oh, well. It was a fun ride. I don't care. No, I just don't care.
Always fun. You were always fun to watch. For me, I'm like, what is Deconverted Man going to be doing this time around?
I'm so jaded now. I just don't care. I'll do whatever the hell I want now, and it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed watching your videos just for the character you portrayed. I was like, this dude's too funny, man. I can't.
Well, I think that I also have, you know, anger control problems, so sometimes that will come out and, you know, kind of hurt me more than whatever. I don't know. So, you know, I mean, you know, I figured out, okay, I need to do my, you know, avoid certain people, avoid certain things, and do what I'm good at, which is analyzing logic and not, you know, stick with what I'm good at.
And just apply the critical thinking to somebody else's lack thereof.
Right, exactly. Thanks, Johnny. Anyone have anything that they want to say to St. Rawman, or any questions for him? Ask in chat, and I'll repeat the question to him, because he cannot see what you're saying. Oh my God, I can't believe you wrote that. Oh, that's horrible. No, I'm just kidding.
How many people we got watching us right now, or listening?
6 watching right now.
6? Hey.
Not bad, you know. It could be worse. It could be better. The last thing that I did earlier was talking to this, reading this guy's email to me and talking at him in chat, and he had said, "You're gonna love this." God told him that that God could not prove it existed to him.
Okay.
So
he's like Joseph Smith then.
So I'm like, wait, what? So God said that God can't prove itself to you. What? Okay, but it said that. So that's proof, and it boggles the mind. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, that's Joseph Smith hiding the tablets in the seer stones. That's all that is.
Yeah, sure. Something like that.
If you can't beat the argument of a 14-year-old kid from, was it 18th century or 17th century when he was around?
Was he that young? I don't know that he was that. Was he?
I believe he was around 14 or 15 when.
I thought he was like, no, he was fairly
wrong. I could be wrong.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Yeah. Johnny wants to know who you are. So who are you?
Who am I? Saint Rawman. I just don't have the free to use voice disguiser thing happening.
Well, Johnny doesn't know who Saint Rawman is. So what's your channel about? Like, what is the essence of the Rawman?
It was about pretty much the same thing Deconverted Man did, except for I had a little cartoon character, or what certain people are apt to call when I'm not around anymore, a skepticlone. And I just attacked the reasoning of all these religious claims. I'd go out and I'd find a video of someone trying to tell atheists something, and I'd respond to it. Yeah.
All right, I don't understand this question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Is large a city or a country?
Is large a city or country?
Yeah.
LARGE?
Yeah, that's what Johnny said. I think he was responding to Gary. Gary Winston said, "I'm a madman at large." And so then the follow-up was, is large a city or country? But I think it's funnier to just ask the question without any context.
Oh, yeah.
So is large a city or country? Respond to the question.
Is large a city or country? Well, I'm pretty sure if I Google large, as far as looking for a place, I'll find something named large. It's a village. It's a village in some obscure third world country.
Large Marge. You said you're a trucker. Do you encounter a lot of religious types in different truck stops and whatnot?
At every single TA and Petro, these are truck stops, there is actually a trucker chapel on site.
I remember seeing one in the Religious movie, or whatever the hell it was called, with Bill.
Yeah, those are at almost every single TA and Petro you get.
Yeah, I didn't know they were everywhere. I thought they were just like
every TA or Petro, and those two are part of the Big Five. You got 5 big name truck stops, and those 2 are part of that Big Five, and they're owned by the same company.
Hmm.
And then you have 2 more that are owned by the same company, Flying J and Pilot. And then you have the Loves, which is barely a truck stop.
Hmm.
They're working on it.
The company that owns the truck stop also gets revenue from the church, or is the church an independent thing?
That I don't know. I haven't gone in and talked to them.
You try to avoid that.
I have had them come up and knock on my door like some kind of lot lizard trying to pimp out their pamphlets, but I tell them, no, don't worry about it, man. You're not gonna. This is the wrong tree. And they'd ask why, and I'm like, well, I'm an atheist, and they usually respond with, "Wow, what's that like?" It's like,
yeah, what is it like?
How the fuck am I supposed to answer that question?
I don't know either. What's it like to not believe in stuff? I guess the one response would be like, well, do you believe in leprechauns? And hopefully the answer is no. And I'd be like, it's like that.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, I try not to get in too long of a conversation with them because I'm normally dog tired and ready to go to bed. Because
Do you think that? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
it's just when I'm parked for the day, I'm usually ending a 10-hour shift of driving. So
That's insane. I mean, I got worn out. I get worn out driving an hour or two. So,
yeah,
do you think it's harder in real life to have these conversations than it is online?
I wouldn't say harder. I'd say different. There are some things that make it harder. Like when I was making a video, I could script anything and everything that I was going to say in the video. You seem to not use a script. You just kind of record yourself and run with it. And I can't do that because sometimes I put foot in mouth. And even when I have a script, I put foot in mouth and have to listen to everyone correct me. Oh, that's not right. That's not what the famous one. I wouldn't say famous, but the one that comes to memory is when I in a video that I put online. It's still there. I claim that I think it's called the Mueller-Urey experiment produced life.
Oh yeah. No,
that was way wrong. That was way wrong, and I just put that out there like I knew what I was talking about. And that's one of the last times I actually tried to argue science with somebody.
Yeah, they showed something, but I don't know. Without looking it up, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I just go. Well, I don't know, man. It's science. Go ask somebody else. It's not my field.
I always refer people to one of Logic's videos because he goes into a lot of detail explaining it.
Yeah, the denial or misunderstanding of evolution is almost a unique problem to the United States. I mean, other places have a little bit too. India, perhaps, because Hindus sometimes are creationists. But
yeah, you're talking about the Western world, right?
Yeah, the Western world is more of a problem in acceptance and understanding of evolution.
Yeah, that's the United States that's a very American issue where you have a lot of people that just either don't understand it and or don't believe it just without even trying to understand what it is. And that's, I mean, you call yourself deconverted, man. So I could assume, can I safely assume at some point you were a believer or a man of faith? Okay,
yeah.
I have the same background. And that's one of the things that kind of helped me along the process of letting go of religion is looking into what evolution is versus what I'm told it is. Because I can remember as far as in my 20s going, I didn't come from no monkey. I ain't no monkey.
Well, actually we are. So
well, technically we're an ape. So there you go.
And I mean the classification. Aaron Raw did a video where he's like, "No, technically we're monkeys." So I'm like, "Whatever. I don't know. I can't keep up anymore. I don't know. Pluto's not a planet."
Well, I think our closest living relative is what, the chimpanzee.
It's like the what's it called? God, I can't. The system of classification of things. Basically, I don't know. I don't understand it. I just listen to it because I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you keep saying that, Aaron Raw. All right, it's going into my brain. Eventually, it will mean something. I hope.
Yeah, he's one of the many people I haven't watched in a long time. Aaron Raw.
Yeah, it's a systematic classification of I think it might be mammals, or I'm not sure exactly, but it breaks down all the terminology and all this and explains.
Yeah, and that was pretty stupid of me to stop watching him, especially for the reason that I did. So you were saying before we went live that you got kind of a temper, and I have a similar issue where I just kind of hold a grudge.
Yeah,
and like some people can still watch Steve Shives when he does his atheist reviews.
Oh yeah.
I haven't watched Steve Shot. I've been back to his channel and I see he's talking a lot about Star Trek lately. And I'm like, fuck you, dude. That's one of my loves. Don't you be sitting there trying to feminize one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, he
But
did a
Aaron
video.
Raw,
Like, don't get me started on that.
Yeah, Aaron Raw said in a speech, I guess he was kind of pandering to the audience. I don't know if he actually believed what he said.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But that just turned me off of him. I was like, you're showing a lack of reason there.
Yeah, I gave him another chance because I figured that he didn't know what he was really saying, and it kind of bit, and he never made the comment again. So it's like, yeah. But let's talk about your deconversion story, if you will.
All right.
What religion did you grow up with? A particular religion or
Baptist.
beliefs or Baptist? Okay,
Yeah.
what was that like? Did you go to church a lot, or was it a part of the family? Or
Yeah, I was kind of born into it. My dad was raised Baptist, so therefore I was, and I made a video about it about one of the first times. It wasn't the very first time, but it was one of the first times where I went to church and I started questioning what I was being told. I was a little kid and I didn't really understand it all. I thought it was more or less just story time. We got sent to Sunday school, which was story time. We hear all these fantastical stories about all these magical people, and I've always been a creative writer. So, when I went home, I kind of condensed the story. It took place over a matter of actual weeks, or if not months, but I condensed it. Like, I went home that week and went back the next week. But I wrote my own little story with me and Jesus, like hanging out or being some kind of superhero or something like that. And I went and read it to the Sunday school class, and they all laughed at me. And I was told I was wrong for what I did. And so then it was explained to me that Jesus was a real man and he did all this stuff to save you. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, and as I grew older, it kind of just became a part of who I was versus me actually believing. I never read the Bible until I started losing my faith. I would just hold up the Bible. I believe everything in here, even though I didn't know what the fuck it said. So then I started watching on YouTube people like, this is gonna make me lose some cool points here. I can't remember his name. The guy with the parrot.
Living Dinosaur.
Yeah, Living Dinosaur.
Living Dinosaur, right?
Dark Matter, 2525. Started watching them, and at that point, I could say that my faith was gone. It was dead, but I wasn't willing to let it go. I don't know how emotionally invested you were in your faith, but I had been like
how
that.
Long were you? Life. How long had you been a believer? How long had you been a Christian?
Let's see. Well into my 20s, if not early 30s. So,
I mean, you spent, that's about the same for me. So you spent a lot of time and energy on it. It's going to be hard to just say, well,
and you still got those fears in the back of your head that say, that whisper Pascal's wager at you all the damn time.
Yeah.
What if?
What if that? Yeah.
And
so, what was that like when you did let it go? Was that difficult, or was it a release? Or
it was difficult at first, and then it became more of a relief. What's his name? The guy that made cartoons. He had a 41 jersey type of thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Alleyway, maybe?
No.
Had a
He was around back in those times.
non-stamp collector's the only other one.
Yeah, not non-stamp collector. It was the other. He did a collab with non-stamp collector for that ode to Yahweh.
Oh, okay. I don't know offhand. I'd have to.
The
look
other
that
guy
up.
who made that video, he made a video about someone who had wrote him an email or a letter asking how to get over the fear of hell. I believe it was. And it was that video that kind of helped me turn it into more of a relief than it was anything else. And at that point, I was like, maybe I should make a YouTube video channel, and I just hadn't done it. I didn't do it for a while.
So how old were you when you made it? When you did that? Because you might.
When I first started the St. Rawman channel, or when I started my first really pathetically lame channel.
Yeah, your pathetically lame channel that shall not be named.
Oh no, I'll name it. Like I said, I'm not easily embarrassed. I mean, basically what I do is I stick a dip of snuff under my lip, and I'd set the phone up on my door handle. I was roommates with somebody at the time, and I set my phone on record up on my door handle, and I'd sit there and talk unscripted and just talk about various subjects that came to mind. And it was called Getting to Know an Atheist. And I made about 4 or 5 videos, and I was like, this is stupid. And about midway through making the St. Rawman videos, about maybe 6 or 7 months into it, I went back to that channel. I watched all those videos. I'm like, these videos are dumb. So I think I deleted the whole channel. I was like, I don't want anyone to find these.
So, well, we can't verify that any of the things you said is true then.
Oh, I was very naive. You know, I wasn't really into the debating creationists and all that. So I was like, why are we debating? Let's put a stop to this debate. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't do anything.
Did you find that you had to learn a whole bunch of science? You were talking a little bit about.
Yeah, that's where a lot of my mistakes come from. Is in those early days of St. Rawman, I started getting a bigger grasp on the scientific concepts, but not as big as I thought I had.
Were you raised to deny evolution or something like that, or
not really raised to deny it? It just never came up in my house. It was, you were created by God, and that was it. And back when I was in school, when everyone was debating whether evolution should be even taught in class.
Wow.
How it should be taught, that sort of thing.
Teach the controversy.
Well, that shit didn't come up till after I got out of school, as far as anything I heard. The whole teach the controversy thing. And matter of fact, that's the video I was responding to, was some Christian YouTuber responding to the Friendly Atheist, I think he went by, the Asian guy.
Oh yeah, I remember Friendly Atheist. Yeah.
And
and you're bringing back old memories. Good times.
Yeah,
back in the day when things were good.
Video to his response video.
I was far less jaded.
And he said the controversy is this little thing about the Miller-Urey experiment, and I'm like, that's not controversial. It has nothing to do with evolution. Yeah. What the? That's all I should have really said, but I thought I understood things that I didn't understand.
And it's interesting you mentioned that you hadn't really even read the Bible as a Christian. It's only after you deconverted that you read it, and I find that there's been multiple polls that have shown that atheists know the Bible better than Christians.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, but I mean, isn't the whole thing you're supposed to read the Bible? They say it like every other service, it seems like. So how did that work?
Well, why did I have to read it? I'd go to church every Sunday and have it read to me and explained to me.
Ah.
Here, let me read this, you know, obscure verse and then tell you what it means. Okay, that way I ain't got to do the work. I was a lazy Christian.
Yeah, well, no, but a lot of people are. So,
Yeah.
when you did actually read it, did you go through the whole thing or skip the boring parts? Just like the lineage of like, I don't care who begot whoever, I'm skipping that.
Yeah, I got to that part and I was like, no, skip,
Skip.
skip,
I think everybody
skip.
skips
How many
that.
fucking pages is this shit? Because the only Bible I had was my little kid's Bible that I got for free at some summer church thing. I can't remember what it was. It was back when I lived in Fallon, Nevada.
Hmm.
But
Do you,
they
do
had
you
a.
do
Go
you
ahead.
think that you can learn more or learn anything, whereas before you might have not been able to learn things because it could have hurt your faith?
No, not really. I think I could learn it easier as far as I think faith is a huge. I don't want to say this, but I think faith is a huge hindrance to understanding. If you already believe a certain set of concepts are true, despite whether or not you can prove it or you've seen evidence, and despite any evidence that would contradict what you believe to be true, uh, and you go to try to learn something, say evolution, for example, your faith will get in the way of that. Like I already know that that's not true. You know, so you'll be trying to read what it's saying, but your faith will get in the way of you understanding what it's saying. And I think that's where a lot of the whole, we didn't come from no monkey. I wasn't no monkey. If we came from monkeys, how come there's still monkeys? I think that's where all those arguments come from is people's faith getting in the way of understanding anything that they
Yeah,
may try to learn.
yeah, and my perspective, and I've said this more than once, is that if there was a God, then you should be trying to figure out what the world is like. And the early Christians became scientists doing that. They wanted to understand the world that they thought God had made.
Oh
And
yeah.
yet, that later on, you get Christians that don't want to understand that because they've chosen a belief in a teaching, in a doctrine, which is not true. The idea, you have to deny evolution in order for God to exist. It's like, no. If there's a God, it used evolution. Okay, I'm not saying there's not a God, although I don't believe that. But I don't believe that God exists, or if it does, I don't know what the belief is like. It's not the Christian God, I'll say that for sure. But
Yeah.
I mean, I've had endless attempts at trying to convince people that they don't have to. There's not a dichotomy between evolution and a god,
No.
but they've chosen that to be a extra belief. Okay, Beasto asks, did you ever consider that Christianity is testimony to a dead Jesus?
Did
Not
I
sure.
ever consider Christianity as a testimony to a dead Jesus?
Yeah.
I thought that's what Christianity was.
Yeah, I'm not really
I
sure I
don't understand
understand the
that
question.
question.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Can you
Like,
reword that to make it a little
sure.
bit more? Cause I'm just a big dumb trucker, so college educated, but still.
um, yeah, I'll see if B Stu will do that in chat.
Yeah, because I'm not sure I understand that question. Because if you look at Christianity, that's all it is each of the Gospels is pretty much the same story rewritten, and if you go back and look at the order they were actually written in, as opposed to how they're presented in the Bible,
Yeah, you can see the
you'll
evolution.
see that they just get more and more unbelievable as they go along.
Yeah, yeah. The first story just has Jesus dying, and that's it. Then you
Yeah,
have
there's
Jesus
no claim
come
of
back.
divinity. There's no claim of
Yeah,
divinity. There's no claim of of any of that. Like the virgin birth wasn't in the very first. None of that.
Yeah, the story gets more exaggerated as it goes on, which makes sense because I mean you're retelling a story, and you're gonna embellish it. I mean that's just what we do, you know.
Yeah.
Do you hold any other beliefs like in an afterlife or psychic ability or anything like that at all, or did all that just melt away when you deconverted?
I used to, but not really. I used to have a roommate, and he's actually, I wouldn't say famous, but popular amongst his inner circles, who claimed to be a psychic. He's got a website and everything, and he charges for personal readings and things like that. And when I lived with him, I kind of half believed until he started talking about past lives and his spirit guides and giving me names and stuff like that. And like he told me that I was Ty Cobb in a past life.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
You know who Ty Cobb
is?
No,
I have no idea.
Okay. Ty Cobb is a famous baseball player from back in the day. All right. And he's famous for being pretty much an asshole. He played like an asshole. He was racist. He was, womanizer, drunk, all that good stuff. But he was indoctrinated into the Baseball Hall of Fame. And I didn't notice it then, but I noticed it later in life that when he told me that was about the same time that HBO came out with a Ty Cobb movie. They made a movie about this guy. And it was playing over and over again at the time. And we had cable, and I didn't put two and two together. But then he started talking about one of his particular spirit guides that he said was named Locutus.
Borg?
Hey, that's what hit my head. I'm like, are you seriously telling me your spirit dude is named after Captain Picard when he was a fucking Borg? Are you kidding me? I didn't call him on his bullshit. I just sat there and nodded my head and smiled like you would at any other crazy person. Like, oh, is that right? Yeah.
That's nice. I'm just going to go way over here now, and I'm going to take this sharp object with me.
Yeah, to quote Daniel Tosh, I'm not honest, but that's interesting.
Oh, man. So, yeah, the paranormal, none of that stuff. So you're just a jaded skeptic with no beliefs at all. How dare you? But of course, there might be some belief that you have, or would you even call whatever you know beliefs? How do you view the knowledge that you have? Do you view it as certainty or beliefs, or how do you frame that?
Let's put it this way. I view the knowledge as I have as so limited that it's probably easier to count the things that I know than it is to count the things I don't know. So when someone asks me stuff that I might look, I don't know shit. You look it up. I don't know shit until I look it up. Like that Miller Urey experiment. When I saw the video and I wanted to respond to it, I actually looked up after the fact what the hell that was. I didn't know what it was. I looked it up and I read about it and read what the conclusions were, and I was wrong about the conclusion, or the findings rather.
Yeah. Well, what's the is there a good argument that you've ever heard for any of this stuff, or even that you would put up there as a semi-decent argument?
For Christianity or
anything, any of those things. Yeah, just any of it, any of it at all, any of the beliefs or faith or spirits, devils, demons, angels, what do you got? Whatever,
Well, I wouldn't call it a good argument, but it is one that you can't really argue against, and that's the existence of a deistic God. It's like there is a God, but he doesn't give a shit, and he doesn't. He doesn't pay any attention. He made the planet. He put whatever he put on it when he put it on there, and then he left and let it happen the way it happened. Oh, okay. If that's what you want to believe, go ahead. I see no reason to believe it, but
yeah, the full burden is on them.
There's nothing there to argue with. That's why arguing with Christians is Muslims or any other religion, specific religion, is easier because they have positive claims that you can say, okay, let's take a look at that thing that you just said and kind of dissect it and realize and figure out where you could be wrong in the way you're thinking.
What about the worst argument or the worst or the most absurd thing that you have heard or seen or what have you?
The worst
or most absurd or...
So you're asking me to go back and remember, I've been out of the idiocracy
for
4 years now.
You're supposed to just know all this stuff. What kind of interview is this? I don't know what I'm doing.
I think it would be that faith healer I made a response video to.
Oh, the faith healers are always fun, aren't they?
The guy, he walked up to some dude in a wheelchair in the middle of a store and said, "Here, let me try to heal you." And he prayed over him and said, "There you go. God's real." It's like, what?
Did the guy get out of the wheelchair?
No, he was quite uncomfortable. If you watch the video, you'll see he's fucking uncomfortable with the whole interaction. He's like, I wish this dude, but he's trying to be polite. You know, because he's probably a man of faith himself, and he doesn't want to tell the dude, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Like, if you're gonna do that, like, just go ahead and make a fake video, because I mean, why not? Just have it set up with actors, and have it not just the guy gets out of the wheelchair, but he jumps into the air and flies away, because that would be awesome. I'd be like, oh my word, that's a video I can respond to. You know, just go full force with it.
Take the Peter Popov approach.
Why not? Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, but I mean, you know, it's yeah, those sort of things are like you'll see the faith healer churches or whatever where the person, you know, like, we don't need the walker, and they'll walk around with them. Of course, they're holding their hand because they don't need the walker. They just need your, you know, but it's kind of this like placebo effect, and then they're right back there the next week trying, you know, be healed again. So it's like, well, what happened? Did it wear off? You know? And it's a placebo effect.
Or they tell them to throw their heart medicine away, and then they try to come back a week later, and the person's fucking dead. So,
yeah, well,
that's that's how, when I first started St. Rawman, that's the kind of shit that motivated me to do that, is the people who would take advantage of people, or the people who would cause real harm. You ever see that documentary, Jesus Camp?
Yeah. I'm aware of it. Yeah.
Shit like that. It's like I was indoctrinated as a child. I didn't have any. You don't really have a choice as a kid whether you believe something or not, because kids believe anything adults tell them because they trust these adults, especially their parents.
Yeah. Without getting too personal, because I don't. You know, if you had kids, or if you're going to, or if you do. How do you approach the subject of religion and God and whatnot in a way that you're not going to indoctrinate them to your beliefs or lack thereof?
I don't talk about it. I have no kids of my own, but I have 8 grandchildren.
How does that work?
Yeah, you figure that out. You're the one with all the logic.
Well, if you can't have grandkids if you don't have kids, that doesn't make sense.
Well, the woman I'm with has 5 of her own, and they all have kids of their own except for one.
All right.
And they all have adopted. They have adopted me.
All right.
And they're all ages from a newborn that was born about a month ago to roughly 4 or 5 years old.
But okay, so hypothetically,
they're very young. So when they're around me, the subject of God or religion doesn't really come up at all.
hmm,
You know,
it's not something that you actively seek out. Then
no.
yeah.
No, and I'm kind of following this wasn't my idea. It's kind of the example. If do you watch Logic?
Yeah, I used to.
Yeah, when he'd talk about how he was brought up, he'd always say that just never came up in my house, and
Hmm.
he seems to have turned out okay, other than his taste in music. So fuck it, I'll take that approach.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where it's like it's too late for me to undo anything that was done or whatever. But I know it's like, well, if I had to do it again, then I'd do it a different way. But what else?
Let's stay on that subject for a minute because we are currently looking for a surrogate, so I can have one of my own. She can't have kids anymore due to a medical issue. But I'm ready to be a father. I'm actually in a financial position now that I can do all that, and I got my head on mostly straight now. So I got kind of that I want to be a dad bug in me. So I think what I will do is not really talk about religion specifically, but try to teach any kid that I may have to just have that questioning mind, to not be afraid to ask why.
Yeah, I think that's really important.
I think the best approach to that is following my ex-wife's example of allowing them to ask me why when I tell them to do something. I tell you, go do this. Why? Well, here's why. Now go do it. Because my parents, I'm pretty sure your parents all said the same thing. Because I said so.
Yeah.
So, and that doesn't teach anything. That just enforces a
obedience.
Yeah, as opposed to teaching the kid to question things. And I'd rather have a kid question me every once in a while and then learn to question anything someone's telling them versus, blind obedience and following me. And then they learn to do that with the outside people as well. Some random street preacher starts talking to them. They don't think to ask why, because they're an adult and they're saying something. So I got to listen.
Yeah, and I remember, I think Bill Nye, or no, it was Neil deGrasse Tyson saying that, we squash kids' curiosity far too often, and that's just wrong. And I'm like, yeah, because I was like, oh, stop asking why, and I'm like, why? No, you're not. It's like, okay, it's like, no. Keep asking why. If someone tells you not to ask why about that even more. And keep asking why.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to cheat. Go clean your room. Why? Well, I don't know why, but go do it, and I'll research why you have to do it, and I'll come back.
Yeah, I'll let you know. Yeah, do it after.
I'll let you know after your room's done.
To bring order to chaos. That's why.
Because of the laws of entropy. That's why. Now you go look what that means.
Yeah. Because the complex carbohydrates are in the upper atmosphere.
I have to figure because the laws of entropy, everything that's just gets more and more chaotic. It gets a mess grows and gets bigger and bigger. You clean it now, the mess won't be so big tomorrow.
Yeah. But can I just let it evolve on its own? No, go do it. Yeah, but I mean, so how? Yeah, the surrogate. Are you gonna? I guess. Well, you could adopt, but it sounds like you want it to be yours, so to speak. So I don't even know how that works.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. Well, me and my woman, we live. Now this is really personal. We live an alternative lifestyle relationship. And a surrogate in the relationship type that we have could be more cheaply gained than one that you run through like the whole
Okay, yeah, all right, enough
more
said.
easily.
All right, yeah.
You know, we're not.
Hey man, TMI, man. Yeah. I don't want to go there. No, I mean,
Let's just say,
I don't care if we go there. I'm just,
yeah. Well,
I don't know.
I'll
Yeah,
put a code. I'll put a code word in there. We're not vanilla.
Yeah, right.
Anyone who knows what that means knows what I'm talking about.
Look, whatever you got to do is whatever you got to do, and if everyone's okay with it, then
Yeah.
that's great.
That's why she wanted to be a part of the YouTube channel, because she wants to go after the feminists.
I'd love to see that. I will enjoy that.
Oh, we have her character made up and named. Like I said, cleverly named. Her name is. You know how I love puns. So her name is Miss Represent.
I like that. That's really good. That's very clever. Okay, Beast 2 finally rearranged his question to you. Did Christianity ever succeed in convincing you that Jesus is alive, according to the Bible? And if not, why not?
It did for a long time in my life. It did mainly because I was told. It was just reinforced by everybody in my life. You know, this is the truth. This is what is real. And that's that. And until I started my own research into the subject, started actually picking up the Bible and reading it, it's just, I accepted it because that's what I was told. Like most people who are religious, they're raised in a religious household because their parents were raised in a religious household. So, does that answer the question?
I think it does.
All right.
Whether or not it satisfies Bestow, I don't know, but it's good enough for me, so that's all that matters. Grave to the Flame. Why? Because lobsters exist. That's why.
Well, just why? If you're going to ask me a one-word question, I'm going to give you a one-word answer. Because.
What's the ultimate nature of reality? I don't know. Why did you go into trucking? What was you mentioned going to trucking school? So,
I couldn't find a job any other way.
There you go.
I had graduated from college. I went to college late in life, and I have my bachelor's degree, and I'm waving around all proud, going to different places, and everyone's treating it like it's a GED. So it's like, okay, I guess a bachelor's degree don't mean shit anymore. So basically, it was the highest paying job I can get at the time.
What's your BA in?
Organizational management.
Okay. What the bleep does that do?
Basically, I know how to run a major organization from the top down.
Oh, that's cool.
Now, I'm not saying I could walk into Microsoft and tell them what's up, but like the company I work for, it's the largest trucking company in the country, but it's only 2% of the industry or 3% of the industry as a whole. So it's not huge. It's just the largest in the country. And what makes it the largest is the fact that it's got the most trucks out here on the road. Now, I could go to their corporate office in Phoenix and tell them what's up because I have experience in the industry, plus I have my education. And lately I've been meaning to do that, but I don't want to get myself...
you can apply for that. I would think that,
you just brought back old memories.
There you go. Hey, maybe you'll... if you become a CEO, I get like 1%, okay?
Like in my 20s, I used to... I had a pretty decent job. Well, I earned a decent living anyway in my 20s at this job. I hated the job itself, but on my off time, I'd go around and apply for shit jobs. And when, that part of the application, the paper application that says position applying for, I would just put owner and just turn it in.
That's great.
And I wanted to get an interview. I was hoping, I never got the interview, but
Wow, that's great. Owner. So you want to be our owner? What? How much money do you have? I
Seems
mean,
like the highest paying
you would
position.
think that at least they'd call you and be like, "Do you have enough money to buy us?" Like, you don't know. Beasto said it was a good enough answer for him, so that's good.
All right. But now I don't see any Christian argument as valid enough to consider the existence of Jesus as a, I wouldn't say possibility, but probability.
What about any other concepts or of God or what have you? You mentioned the deist ones, kind of that hypothetically somebody could argue for that, but it's like, yeah, okay, so what,
Yeah. I've never heard an argument that would give me reason to believe. That's my whole stance on the whole thing is if you give me an argument that gives me reason to believe, I'll consider it.
You said Baptist, right? Was the denomination?
Yeah, I was raised Baptist. Southern Baptist.
Flavor? Oh, Southern Baptist. Okay, there you go. Because Grave was asking that. I'm like, we answered that earlier. You weren't here, so now we answered it again. Darn it!
There you go.
So what are your plans, or what are your ambitions for the tubes, or for whatever the hell you're gonna do next?
Okay. Well, we'll start outside of YouTube, and that'll lead into it.
All right.
All right. Right now, me and my woman, we just sold a house. We just closed on it a couple of days ago. Haven't even got paid for it yet. That's how recently. And right now, we're renting an apartment down in Texas because the doctors there are better than the doctors where the house was at that we sold. So we chose to rent down in Texas as opposed to Tennessee. Because she suffers from chronic pain, and she just had, she's calling it a nerve stimulator, but that's kind of counterintuitive, seeing it's supposed to deaden the nerves to kill the pain, I suppose. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not a doctor there. I'm just talking out of my ass. But anyway, we're going to use that money to invest in some fixer-uppers and flip those houses. She's going to do all this. She knows what she's doing when it comes to it. I'm just going to keep my happy ass in this truck until I got enough money to get out. And from there, we're going to move to Colorado. This is the plan. I don't know how it's actually going to go out, but we're going to move to Colorado. And I'm going to get out of the truck at that point. And we're going to go into starting our own business out there, a bar. That's why we're doing the real estate thing, just to get some money to where we can throw cash at people versus having to get investors or loans, as far as big loans. We'd rather have a smaller, manageable loan. That way, if the business goes under and we still owe money, I could jump back in the truck and make enough to pay the loan.
Yeah. Sounds like a great plan. Colorado Springs. I had I loved it. It was so
we're going to be in a smaller area near Colorado Springs, Fountain, Colorado.
I know Fountain. Also acceptable.
It's growing, and big lots of land are going for pretty cheap right now.
It's just really beautiful. You get, lots of places to go hiking and go check out, be a tourist, and go check out the tiny museum. That's a must see.
Yeah, I've been listening to the Joe Rogan podcast a lot lately as I'm driving down the road, and it's got me kind of scared of the Colorado wilderness because he's talking about different animals that may live out there. I'm like, I don't want to step out on my porch and have to deal with a mountain lion.
I saw a bear one time.
Yeah, see, don't add to it. I don't want to deal with it.
It was on their porch. I was driving by. I'm like, oh, look, there's a bear on that guy's porch.
Yeah, see, I don't want to deal with that shit. So
imagine you go to your door to go out and you see bear and you're like, nope, I guess I'm staying in today.
Yeah, that's exactly what it would be.
Why are you going into work? There's a bear on my porch. I'm not going anywhere.
I'd call one of my employees, say, put a note on the door, bar not open today due to bear on owner's porch.
Dude, a bear. And the guy's like, I can't get out either. There's a bear here. They're everywhere, man.
Yeah. But from there, now she's really pushing to do something with YouTube. So if I end up back on St. Rawman before all that either plays out or gets changed and canceled to something else, it'll be all due to her. Because she's watched a lot of my old videos and she said, this seems really fun. And I'm like, yeah, that's because you got to edit the damn thing. You know, you don't have to take stills and put them together. And I mean, just, it's.
I love editing. I love editing. What are you talking about? Why are you complaining about? Editing's fun.
I'll send you here. Make St. Rawman blink every 4 or 5 seconds.
That's easy. That's easy.
Yeah, it's just putting in a 0.3 of a second, eyes closed, and then eyes open again. But
no, you render that as a separate video and you throw that in your thing.
If only I had thought of that.
You're like, oh, now you've got it, man. There you go. Should have.
Yeah. There's a one time I got one video where I tried to make it look like he's actually talking. It's the second response video I made to Steve Shives, where I put the character just kind of in a mock Steve Shives 5 Stupid Things setting, where I put a little hat. You look at the logo I got there on your thing where the character's got a hat on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that comes from, is that video. That's why I made that particular head there. He's got a beard too. I actually took a picture of Steve Shives, cut his beard out, and put it on my character's face and reshaped and sized it to fit. And put a square globe versus the round globe on there and tried to animate the mouth, and that was a pain in the ass. I'm like, I don't know how Dark Matter animates his, but if it's anywhere close to how irritating this was.
Yeah, that's beyond my my thing.
Well, what I did is I made about 12 to 13 stills of different mouth shapes. And just when I'd say 2, I'd put like a circle shaped mouth right there as I said 2, and I had to sit there and relive over and over and over again. Just right there, that's where it goes. It still didn't come out all that great. The audio in the very beginning is, you can't even hear it. And the ironic thing about that is me talking about how I figured out how to fix my audio.
So you also appear in episode 16 of OMS, answering the question, how do you respond to the question, can I pray for you?
Yes, I did. Yeah. I remember that.
And that was episode 16. The episode that the latest episode was episode 75.
Oh, a long time ago then.
So yeah, but I haven't done one in quite some time. But yeah, that's still.
And I remember exactly what I said because it was the truth. I'll take it as you trying to be nice.
Yeah, I think that's a good approach.
If you're trying to be nice, hey, like if I mention, oh, my house burnt down, then that's you expressing condolences. I'll take that. But if I'm tell you I'm an atheist and then you say it, then I'm gonna take it as an insult.
Yeah. I'm fine, man. Yeah. You can't fix this. It's broken, man. Forget it. Yeah, it should work. Why is it not? Oh, okay, because it's doing the edit thing. I don't want to do the edit.
How many people we got listening now?
I don't know. Let's see. That's not telling me. 2 people. We got 2 people got tired of us, I guess.
Yeah,
like,
We
These
have
guys,
four other people.
yeah, we've just dropped the bar, and it's just when we were about to talk about all the controversial things.
Yeah. We haven't talked about feminisms yet. We haven't talked about social justice.
Oh, you really want to get in trouble? I mean, I know all the topics that will get us into real trouble.
Well, here's the thing. The only reason why you saw me the other day is because I have two YouTube channel accounts, whatever you want to call it. My old gaming one and this one. The gaming one I was running at the same time I was doing this one. And I logged into this one. I was just checking out some channels, some videos of Logic or something like that. And I saw you live. So I went on there just to say hi. I have been completely ignoring the whole thing, except for when Joe Rogan talks about it on his podcast for a short period of time. And like I told someone who was telling me to make a video, it's like it's hard to get back into the idiocracy when you're out of it so long, because if you're not in it, like say how deep Sargon of Akkad or Bering is, you don't notice it. It stays where it's at, California and the Northeast and college campuses. It doesn't affect me in any way.
Yeah, no.
I'm not getting fired. I'm not being told I can buy nothing or say something because I'm a white guy. I'm not feeling these any kind of influence from these people. So they're not relevant to my existence. And the same with religion. I haven't, other than the thousands of billboards, 855-4-truth. If you want to call that number, you could ask them about the evidence they got for God.
Ah, yeah, that sounds good.
That'd
be great.
All over the country.
I think I did call something like that once, and basically I did get the guy to admit that there wasn't any evidence. And it was like, and he's like, "Well, are you happy? You proved your point." And I'm like, I guess. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Like, I didn't have a point. I was hoping you could prove yours.
Because he said something and then he contradicted it later. So I was like, I thought you had said whatever the bleep it was. And
yeah. But yeah, other than that, it's just not been a part of my life. It's not like I've been ignoring it. It just hasn't been there. And from that, I just took note of the fact that unless you're a part of it, like these guys and like I used to be, it doesn't really play a role. And like I used to think it's important to fight against all these different things, against the attacks on speech or things like that. It's like, no one's trying to shut me down. I see them shutting other people down, but that's those people's weakness. Like when those people went up to during the election, Bernie Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
He was up giving his speech, and people pushed him away from his own podium. I'm like, well, dude, if you had my vote, you just fucking lost it, because that's weak. You know, you should have had those fuckers escorted off, by security or the cops. Show some fucking balls. But, I don't want a weak president up there.
Yeah.
But, so, and I'm not going to let anyone push me around or shut me up. So I don't see any reason to take it as seriously as a lot of people do. Like Sargon of Akkad. Of course, he lives in England, where it's actually taken some.
I watched this documentary that this gal, Lauren Sutherland, she's a reporter that some people really don't like, but it was about the immigration crisis that's going on in different areas, and how no matter what, whether they're welcoming or not welcoming to the refugees, at the end result, nobody wins in this scenario. and a lot of people are making a lot of money off of these people that actually need help and whatnot. And it's
You
just
talking about all those people that came up from South America?
no, she was covering. I don't remember the regions she was covering, but it's like I want to say like the European area or whatever. But yeah, it was interesting. I thought as a documentary, and it had gotten taken down off YouTube because why not? And then she put it back up. It's like, oh well, now I'm gonna watch it because you said I wasn't allowed to watch it. Now I'm gonna tell everybody to watch it because So it's this backfire, and I'm like, look, maybe today the censorship or the whatever works in your favor, but tomorrow it's not going to work in your favor, and you'll find out, and then you'll see, you'll really regret it later. Anyways, I don't know. So
yeah, the whole presidential election made me simultaneously lose and gain faith in humanity. I was like,
yeah, I don't know.
I didn't like the guy, but at the same time, it was like,
it's what it is. You've got a lot of madness going on.
It made me see that whole "I have a vagina, vote for me" thing didn't work on America. So I'm like, hey,
yeah, well,
there's something at least.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to that's interesting, but I wonder who's going to show up this time around and how that's going to play out. I don't know.
I don't know. I can't really talk bad one way or the other about any of it because I didn't vote. The last time I voted, let's just put it this way. Last time I voted for Bob Dole.
You think that voting is pointless?
I wouldn't say pointless, but saying it doesn't really count as far as in the whole process with the Electoral College.
Yeah, I think that,
I wouldn't exaggerate its importance like other people do. I think a lot of people exaggerate the importance of voting. And it's like, look, it's not even my vote that counts towards who wins whatever state that I'm in. It's the Electoral College, which is other people who don't have to vote the way the people vote if they don't want to. They don't have to. What do they call them? Super delegates. They don't. If the people voted, if all the people in one state voted for one, the super delegate would say, "Well, I'm not doing that."
That blows me out of the water. When I learned about that, I was just so irritated that your whole state could vote one way, and the super delegate could just go, "Yeah, that's nice. I'm going to vote the other way."
Yeah. So
and it's like, well, it's never happened before. Well, it doesn't matter. They can do it. There's nothing that prevents them from doing it. That's just, Anyways, but yeah, there's different alternate voting systems that CGP Gray covered on his channel, and I think one of those might be a better system to use than whatever we got, because then it would make you feel like, hey, I'm actually doing something, and what I'm doing just matters,
Well, see, the thing is any system that has its faults. Like a lot of people say, oh, we should just switch to a popular vote kind of thing. I was like, well, that would have its own flaws too.
Oh yeah. Everything has some flaw to it, but I mean, I think there's certain ones that are better than others, certainly. So.
Yeah, because if you do it that way, we might as well just do a 2-hour American Idol style debate show and call in our votes like that, because that's
like an American
an election
it could be
process
like
into a popularity
it
contest.
could be just a giant gauntlet of different things. Like they'd have to bike on a bike and then swim and then play chess against each other, and they'd play Scrabble against each other, and then have a bikini contest, even if we don't want to see that, but whatever, and then just Whoever's the smartest and awesomest wins. I guess. I kind of like the movie Idiocracy.
If it weren't for this last election, I'd say that it would at least be more entertaining. Because I was highly entertained by it. That's about all I got out of it.
At least we get to watch the world burn together. All right, so people can. I'm going to wrap it up because I am out of brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, but St. Rawman's channel is in the link in the description of the thing. It's St. Rawman, and you can look at him there and sub to him and poke him and do stuff to him. And,
well, I haven't made an actual real video in a few years. So
everyone go to his channel and ask him when his next video is and tell them that Deconverted Man sent you.
There you go.
And be like, hey, St. Rawman, when's your next video? And then wait a day and do it again.
There you go.
All right. Anything else you want to say there before we wrap things up, or whatever? If you have a signature thing that you say at the end of things.
No, I did on the videos, but I didn't say it. It was a sound bite of the finish him from Mortal Kombat. I don't think you got that. Yeah, I don't think you got that sound bite.
Finish him.
And trust me, everything I said after that was scripted, and that's what took the longest to record because I'd say it real fast. So.
All right. Well, it's good to see you back. I hope that you are able to make something.
Yeah, that's the whole point to me logging back into this whole account anyway, is to try to see if I can get back into it, because like I said, my woman's been talking about it a lot, and it's like
well, look, I can throw people at you to interview or talk to if you want. Just let me know.
Well, I didn't even notice, but until a few days ago when I actually logged into my Twitter account for this channel on a lark, that I had gotten a message from Logic 2 years ago, back in 2017, just simply, "You there?" Question mark.
You could be like, "Yeah, I am now."
That's what I responded with.
It took me 2 years. You say yes.
That's what I responded with. "I am now?" Question mark.
All right, dude. It was good talking to you and seeing you around, so to speak. I'm Deconverted Man. He's St. Rawman, and lobsters exist. I mean, saying the other thing that I sometimes say wouldn't really make sense. So I don't know how to end this. But that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to hit the button now. Here's the button. Where's the button? There's the button. Bye!